Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hope you're all having a great day today. Today we are going to talk about more foiling. This time, though, it's going to be foiling with a hot foiling machine, which is what this is here. So you can see here, I'm going to start this and warm it up. So I've just plugged it in and it has a solid red light. So I'm going to hit the button here. It's going to start to flash. That's actually going to allow it to start warming up. So while I'm talking to you, I'm going to warm it up. But I didn't want to start that without you guys. So the version of the hot foil machine that I have is by Couture Creations, and it's called the Go Press and Foil. This was the first one that was on the market. I had to have it. I've had it for maybe 6 years now, I think. I've had it for a bit, and I really love a lot of the results that I get from it. There is also a Spellbinders machine that is very similar to this design, and it's called the Glimmer machine. Works pretty much the same. This also, a lot of the stamps that you get for this will work with the new Spellbinders better press, better letter press machine. So it stamps and it's kind of like an embossing of sentiments, things like that. So it's quite the machine. But what I want to talk to you today about is these machines. So in general, they're all about the same. What I will say, this thing is not a tool that you can just pull out of the box and just go for it. You have to play with it a bit because you have to find how it works within your die cutting machine. So in order to do this particular craft, you will need a hot foiling machine, you will need hot foil, and you will need a die cutting machine. Okay, so you will need those three things. You have to have, can't do it without. You'll also need some hot foiling stamps, which I will show you in a minute. Okay, now this machine is standard. Okay, so it's built to factory specifications. One is the same, is the same, is the same, is the same. So if you had a Spellbinders one, this one, if a friend of mine had this one, they would all be to the exact specifications, be the same. What isn't the same though is your die cut machine. That's the word that I'm looking for. If you're like me, some have more pressure. So for example, my Gemini Junior that I have, it's an electric die cutting machine, and it has a lot of pressure. So as it goes through the rollers, like it's in fact, I can't actually put this through. So if you're looking at getting a foiling machine, make sure that it fits with the it can be used with the die cutting machine that you have because they are quite specific and some of them don't fit. I have a big kick, which is just off to the side here because there isn't obviously enough room in my camera viewing area here for you to see it, but it's a manual roller one that I have to crank, a hand crank one. And it's what I use for this machine. I do actually recommend by and large, if you're getting a hot rolling machine, when you're using it, to use it with a hand crank one, because you need to take your time as you're rolling the heated part through. So in order to have time for the foil and the pressure to adhere the foil to your paper. But when, I don't know about you guys, but through my hand crank one, I've rolled through a lot of 3D embossing folders. I've forced through a lot of things that I shouldn't have. It's also the machine that I take when I'm teaching classes and things like that. So everybody uses it, and not everybody's familiar with how to use them. So sometimes things get pushed through and whatever. So my rollers on my embossing machine are quite loose. They're not as tight as they were when I brought it out of the box, right? So that's the one that will have the shifting. So because of that, you need to take time and figure out if you need to use shims or depending on the cardstock that you're using, sometimes it's the foil that you're going to use, etc., etc. So there will be differences. So you cannot this thing, you can't just pull it out and just use it just like that and expect to have really fabulous results. But let me show you, because I have taken the time, let me show you some of the results that I have had. Okay, so you can get really phenomenal results. So this is some sentiments. that I did that are sentiment strips. I can cut them down. I did them in silver and they came out just beautiful. Okay, put that to the side there. This is one of the dies that I have well, a stamp actually. So that was done in like a turquoise color and then I color embossed over top of it. And the foil, sorry, I didn't color emboss. I color blended over top of it and the foil resists the ink. So I can do this really cool ombre effect. Right? There's that. If you saw my inking spray video, well, this I sprayed the inks on. And this one, look at that. And there's another one. This is a different foil. This one, so that first one was just a straight turquoise. This one has like a shattered effect to it. And okay, so here's the other thing that I want to show you. Okay, so I want you to see how beautiful the foil job was on this particular one. So this is a background panel, obviously, or a background stamp. So it's a full A2 size, basically. Okay, so look at how well all of that foiling came out. Now I'm going to show you this one. And you can see how it missed in a lot of areas. Okay, so this, I ran it through first using this, and this came out perfect. Then I ran it through using this kind of pink glitter cardstock. Don't know if you heard it, but my machine just clicked over and now the light is green. So that means that it's actually ready to start foiling. So I'm just going to finish with the intro here and then we'll get started. Okay. But that means basically then that this foil is not good foil. Okay. So I had absolutely perfect results with this one and with the what do you call it? Like with the foil, but also with the plate. So it's not a problem with the plate. It's not a problem with my technique. And it wasn't a problem with this foil. I did the exact same thing with this one. And I got really, I'm going to call it distress look, but it's not what I'm looking for. So that means that there's a problem with this foil. And you can get that with cheap foil, with name brand foil. It doesn't matter. I've had a few that have been like this. So instead of continuing to carry it around, because I always forget which are the ones that don't work great, I actually finally just chucked it out because I was like, that was ridiculous. Why do you keep holding on to that? So, and as an example, so you can see here's another one. So this is this beautiful rainbow foil. I always get really excellent results with this rainbow foil. But here's that same pink. Look at, you can see all of the extra white areas here where it didn't cover, where it didn't go through. You know, that's, it's very frustrating with that. So instead of continually wasting my time or thinking that, oh, this machine doesn't work or I'm doing something wrong, basically what I did is I took the roll that looked like this, threw it away. Okay. So that's what I did. So these I'll just probably color over top of or put like a, I don't know, sentiment or something over top of it. I'll still use them, but they're a little more grunge. I think that's the word I'm looking for, not necessarily distressed, but grunge look than I'm looking for. This is really beautiful foiling here. Okay, so let's talk foils. So when you're using these machines, you have to use a hot foil, one that is a heat activated foil, not a toner foil. So toner foils are what you would use for anything that you did laser printing on, so which has the black background kind of thing, papers. You can run it through a laminator. That's the same thing as the like the mink. Those are toner foils, which you use for laminators. For these, you have to use, you can see here, my light has started blinking red again. So the plate had cooled down. So now it's saying, don't use me. Wait until I go green again. So it will continue to cool down and then heat up, cool down and heat up. So I have to use, when you're using a machine like this, you have to use a heat activated foil. Okay. So these are Go Crescent foils. You can also get the Spellbinders Glimmer foil. I just clicked over green again, so I just want to keep an eye on that. What I like about these particular ones, particular compared to the toner foils, is that I get, these are, this is about 4 inches. It says here, yeah, 4.9 inches, so almost 5 inches in width, but it is 5 meters in length for $5. Like, that's a pretty decent price point, actually. So your machine, I think this cost me, and I got it right brand new way long time ago when they first came out, because I think they're about $200 now. That's Canadian, so I'm not sure what it would be American or elsewhere. But yeah, so it's, you know, it is an investment for this. Plus, you have to have your die cutting machine. Your hot foil stamps are not inexpensive either, but the reusable, those are all tools that you keep and use over and over and over again. The one that you need to supply continuously is going to be your paper, and is also going to be your foil, obviously, because that is a consumable product. That's the word that I'm looking for. Okay. So, but for $5, $6 is usually what it is for the name brand even. You know, and you get 5 meters of it. So it's really great. You can play with it and, you know, see how you like it, see what's working, what isn't working, all those kind of things. And you can get so many different kinds. So I've got, like, this one is a silver holographic with kind of a square diamond pattern in it. This is a turquoise with glitter. This one is called Oil Slick. So it's kind of a rainbow, but it looks like oil on water. This one is that turquoise shattered one. Plain green. This is the rainbow one. This is a shattered holographic gold. Just plain holographic silver kind of color. And then a glitter silver holographic. And I have many other colors as well. These are just the ones that I pulled out today as examples and stuff. So I'm just going to put these to the side here, and we're kind of going to get started. So the other thing that we want to talk about is, what kind of paper am I using this on? You can use pretty much any kind of paper. The one that's going to give you the best results, though, is going to be a smooth cardstock. So I do recommend Neenah Classic Solar White in an 80-pound. It doesn't have to be super thick and super heavy cardstock, but you do want it to be smooth. The one Accent Opaque 80-pound. The other one that will be really good is, I'll be using Hammer Mill today. It's very, very smooth. So you get a really great result with those. You can also use this on what do you call it? Specialty kind of cardstocks. Like if you've got a foiled cardstock, but you want a foiled sentiment. So let's say you've got a silver foil, but you want blue, like a deep navy, or yeah, let's say you've got navy blue foiled cardstock, but you would like to have the letters in gold. You want to do a sentiment, for example, like this, wishing you the happiest of birthdays. So you can put this and do this out of gold on navy. So you can also do that as well. So I'm actually going to put this on the plate here and get it warming up, because this is the first one that I'm going to use. So this is by Spellbinder. See, they're Glimmer machine. So this is called a Glimmer plate. And as you can see, it has, these particular ones have no cutting edges. So they're not like a die. This is actually something that just pushes directly into and provides pressure on your cardstock to push the foil and have it stick to your cardstock. So essentially what this does when you run it through, so it's going to have heat and then pressure from the die cutting machine. And that's what's going to help your foil activate to your, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's going to activate to your, to your paper. Okay. So I'm just going to put this on here. This plate, this gray area here it does get quite warm. I can feel it on the cutting plate here. So the only thing that's different on the Glimmer machine is that this hinge here doesn't have a hinge. It just has plates that go on top of it. Okay. So that's about the only thing that's different. So I am going to choose, what are we going to do that color in? Let's do, I've really enjoyed coloring over top of them. So like doing some ink coloring, ink blending over top of them. So let's get some scissors here. Sorry, block you out there. So I'm going to cut this at about the size of what it is. I don't have one of those little foil cutting things. This is never, I don't find it that difficult to trim this and just kind of, yeah. And then I have, these are little page tab, like markers from, like a little page flags from Dollar Tree, actually, because I'm too cheap to pay for the other ones at like the real ones, because Couture Creations carry some. So I am going to put my, that's not the way that it's supposed to go. So the way that I usually think about this is I'm going to take my cardstock. Okay, so this is the white card that I'm going to press this onto or into. So I want my color to be up. So when I pull this back, I'm going to want the gold to be showing up. So in order to do that, that means that that color has to be touching the plate. Okay, and it's going to push that up into there. Now I'm going to take my 2 shims. I think 2 shims should be enough. Side here. Take my 2 shims, put that in there, and I'm going to close the plate. Okay. Now it's green, but I just put everything in there. So I'm going to give that a minute. Oftentimes it'll click out. See, it just clicked over to red and that's now flashing. So it's not ready to go yet. I want to give it enough time. So I'm going to let it sit in there until that goes green again, and then I'll run it through. But I want to show you a variety of some of the items that you can get. So I am doing a larger sentiment. That's what I'm going to do, but you can do, you can get this beautiful tree. Okay. This is a dahlia bloom. So there's many different things. This guy's a really cool ship. These are about the size that they look like here. Okay. So this is ready to go. So I am going to roll it through here. So in order to do that, I'm going to pull my, okay, so you should be able to just catch my big kick here in place. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to pull that out. Here we go. And this whole thing, I'm just going to take this whole thing and it goes right over to your die cutting machine. And now I'm going to start to slowly roll it. Now, the lady that I watched do this, she used to sing, be like, slow, slow, slow your roll. So you really do need to move it through quite slowly. I like to do it 3 or 4 times. You're going to hear it kind of just bouncing off of there a little bit, and that's what it's supposed to do. Okay. I'm going to roll it through again, going back, but I want to go slow. This is the reason why it's nice to have the hand crank, because I want to give time for that pressure and that heat to activate on the foil and actually adhere to my cardstock. That's really what I want to do. Okay. Which is difficult to do if you're using if you're using an electric machine, right? Like the Go Press and Foil does fit through the Tim Holtz Vagabond. A friend of mine has that, so I do know that it fits through there. So I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to use the little tweezer thingies that come with it to move this here. Oh, maybe I'm not. Right. See if we can get that. I'm going to let that cool down just a bit, and then I'm going to take this. This is this cool little tweezer that comes with it. So it's got this little magnet, and when I open my hand, it pops off. I think whoever created this was a genius. So I can peel that up. Comes with a little mat where you can put things there. Okay. So I'm gonna let that cool. So the next thing that I'm gonna work on is this tree. So I'm just gonna put that in there to start heating up while I'm working on this. So I have a little brush here for any overfoiling. So when I watched this first thing, I watched it on scrapbooking madesimple.com. So now we're gonna do the reveal. Da-da-da. Nice. Look at that. It's a pretty good foiling. So I do have a little bit of extra pressure. Not sure if you can see it, but see where the B, the R, the T, the H, all of that. Okay, all of this is looking really good. So all I'm going to do is come in with my brush here, give it a little bit of a wipe. Oops. So you can give it a bit of a wipe. You can go in with, it's just overfoiling. It's not actually stuck to your cardstock. So you just have to buff it out a little bit. Yeah. So you can already see where that has come out of, like the R, the T, the D. Okay, so I have to work a little bit more on the H and B, those kind of things. So it's just that it's stuck, just it's not actually stuck to the cardstock. It just came off as we were peeling it. Okay. So because I had so much come up though, I'm going to, so if you look, this is what our leftovers are. If that had not stuck so much down there, I would refoil this, and which I will show you how to use your leftover foil. But because of that, you can't actually read birthday on there. So I'm not going to keep that. So there's no point. Okay. I'm going to put this one to the side because you guys don't need to watch me buffing things. Okay, that one is heating up now and has gone green. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use this really pretty green. I'm going to test it out. It's been a long time since I've used this color, so I don't even remember if it's a good one or not. So we'll find out. So in general, when I'm foiling, if I'm bringing out my machine, I'm heating it up, and I've got all of my stamps and dragging my foil around and all of that kind of stuff. I just sit down and do a bunch of foiling because the hotter your machine is, like it stays hotter for longer if you are doing it consistently, right? So it's easier and there's less wait time if you just consistently keep your just keep putting new ones in there. Shims. So these are just heavyweight cardstock. So these are two, I think 100-pound pieces of cardstock. Okay, so that's gone green, but I just closed the lid, so I don't think it's hot enough yet. So I'm going to leave that. It's going to click over. I'm going to give it a minute there. Okay. So the other thing that you can get is you can get different sentiments. So I have hello, thank you. And then I have dies that will cut out. This one is happy birthday, so it'll stamp into it. And then I've got the matching die. I've got these beautiful background cover plates. This cover plate here, so it stamps on all of these butterflies. So this is actually the reverse. So when I did the first one, I stamped this and it was all of this fractured or shattered gold is what were all the butterflies. And then this is actually the result, the reverse of what was left on my transfer or whatever. This is the leftover foil. And I was still able to make an absolutely hilarious and fun, beautiful card out of that. So there's no point in wasting that if you don't need to. And you can get these in a bunch of different. So I've got kind of like a candy cane stripe. This is the one that you saw earlier. This is that filigree one. Oh, sorry. This is this kind of like a wave one. That was the one that showed the rainbows. This is Simply Defined by Scrapbooking Made Simple.com. She's the one that I first saw the Go Press and Foil with. Oh, we've gone green. So I'm going to pull that out now and send it through my cranker. But if you're looking to follow somebody who I would consider an expert at foiling, and I'm going to put this through my machine, I'm going to run it through 3 or 4 times very slowly. But if you're looking to follow somebody or you want to know more and watch someone, her voice drives me bananas. However, she is phenomenal when it comes to any kind of foiling. And on YouTube, you can find her as Nancy Stamps. That's with an S, Nancy Stamps. And she has this like phenomenal videos where she talks about foiling and both toner foiling and hot foiling. So you can see both. And she even has, like, on Facebook, they have this club called the Hotfoiling Snob or the Foiling Snobs Club. And yeah, she just teaches you how to get phenomenal results. So I recommend following her. She's pretty great. Okay, so I'm going to click that back in so that it's plugged in and will continue heating. Whoop, whoop. Over there. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to pull this off. Go. Oh, I'm hoping that'll be good. Okay, now I'm going to again pull that off, put it to the side where it can cool down because that does get warm. There's no joking on that. It does get warm. All right, let's try. Seeing as how this one is out, and I do quite like the background, let's give that a go. We're going to put the full background plate of the bees on. So this is what I do. So this guy is cooling off. I'm putting my next plate or whatever I want to foil on so that it starts to warm up. I'm going to choose my foil, so bees. So I'm going to use this really pretty gold again. Close that up. And hopefully we'll get a good enough result off of this that I'll be able to show you what it looks like when you use your leftover foil. Okay, so this one I'm going to take a longer sheet because I want to be able to get more of the foiling on there without having to worry about precisely lining it up. If you watch Jennifer McGuire, she actually creates like a hinge on her die and on the stamp and things like that. And I'm just too lazy to do that, so I don't bother. Okay, so I'm closing this. You can see it's still flashing. That's a really big plate that I put in there, so I'm going to leave that for another couple of moments. So it just went green. I know that that's not hot enough in there. So even if I go to roll that through my die cutting machine, basically it's going to not stick. It hasn't had enough time for the plate to warm up all the way through in order to press that heat and activate that foil and push it into my paper. So I know so I'm going to give it a minute here. Okay. So let's, while we're waiting, we can peel and reveal. Look at how gorgeous that is. That is just stunning. And so I don't have any overfoiling. So if I want, so I can either trim this down and put this on the front of so what I could do with something like this, or what I would do actually, is use my dies. So I have some nesting dies. I can cut this down. I could even fussy cut just around it if I wanted to, just do a nice bubble cut or something. I can trim it down, put it on, mat it on something like this, and put a happy birthday or congratulations or thinking of you or with sympathy. Like this is a really pretty front, right? So that's what I would do with something. That's what I intended to do actually with something like that. But we did just get a good, really good impression foiling with the tree. So I will be able to show you what that looks like when we the result from an overfoiling. Do that one next. Okay, so it has flicked, gone to red, and now it is back to green. So we're gonna roll that through. It says, "Oh, goes over here now." So I'm gonna pull that out. And roll this through slowly again. And sometimes it won't feel like, when you have an embossing folder and you think, oh yeah, I haven't got nearly enough pressure in there. I mean, you can add more, but you don't need to. It shouldn't be like squishing, because then what happens is you get a lot of overfoiling too. Like you should feel minor resistance as you're rolling it through. Gives it just enough to push into your paper, not a ton. And going back. Go. Okay. Put that back in place. And go machines. Grab this. Shoot. And we will pull this. Just there we go. Okay. So I want to get started with the next one, which was this. So this is an incredibly handy piece to have. This is not the shim, because you can get a metal shim, because you can get some that are cut foil. They're stamp foil and cut, which means it's got an outline to it, so it will cut out your shape. So in order to not damage your plate down here, you would put this metal shim, but it's very thin and bendy. That is not what this one is. This one is quite thick. Okay? This is actually a solid plate that you put on, and this allows you to foil your leftover foil. Okay, so I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to let that heat up without anything on it to start with. That's a really big and it's thick. So I'm going to give that a minute. Okay? And now we're going to lift and see how well our bees came out. Can you see that? Look at how cute. Little bees. Okay, so obviously this is bigger than an A2. So I would come through here, trim it down to an A2 size, and then I've got a beautiful, like if I wanted to trim that down, how cute would that be on there with that as a background? Or if I colored some more bees or something like that. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay. Okay, so it's warming up. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna lay this pretty side touching the die or touching the stamp. Okay. I'm gonna take my paper and I'm gonna put that on there. This way, because my paper is larger than what I'm using, I don't have to worry about it. It should have enough coverage. Now, I did just hear it click green. I know that isn't enough time because I just put, my plate's just been on there. It's been warming up a little bit, but I just put the foil and all of that on there. So I know that isn't enough time yet, right? Something like this. Okay, so we're just going to give that a second. Yeah. Now this has been sitting off to the side. It's cool enough now that I can handle it. So I can put it away as well, which is nice. One of the ones that I really like, this is, you can see here, it says, thank you, sending hugs, celebrate, just a note, miss you, happy birthday. What's really cool is when you put this on, you foil all of these sentiments. So it has clicked over, it's flashing again. So now I'm going to wait until it goes green. Then it should be ready. And it has the die, so I can go through without cutting these all out and everything, that fits entirely over top of it here. So I can cut out all of these sentiments. So I can foil 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So there's 10 sentiments. Nope, 11 including that little high. And then I can cut them all out as one as well. I'll show you guys what that looks like, but we've gone green. So let's pull this out. We're gonna roll it through. So essentially now what's happening is, because that was one solid plate under there, it's the rollers are now just pushing all of that solid plate to activate the foil, like the leftover large parts of the foil. Through again. When you're doing this particular one, it can be sometimes challenging to get really good results. So this one is a little trickier than just doing your smaller images or the, like on the bees, this isn't a lot to have to get perfect, right? That's a very small area. But if you look at all of this, that's a lot more white space that we're going to try and make all gold, for example. So that can be challenging. It might be pretty okay. So while I'm waiting here, so I'm going to let this cool, keep that to the side. I'm going to set up my next one. This is, you get this kind of assembly line on the go. So because I have the big plate on here already and it's already heated up, I'm just going to do the leftover of the tree and we'll see what ends up happening with that, how the foil will react on that one. Okay, put that in there and I'm going to put my shims in. And I'm going to let it heat up. So it's already green, but I'm going to give it a minute. Okay. So let's see what happens here. So I'm going to put my finger just down under the edge here. And I'm going to start to peel. Yeah, see, it didn't come through perfect. That's kind of a bummer because I have had this one come through really well. So I think what I'm going to do for this, as you can see in the center here where it didn't stick. So I'm going to add an extra shim to give it that little bit more pressure down the center here. And so this side didn't work out, but that's okay. I can turn it over and use this side. No point in wasting paper. There's two sides to every piece of paper, right? So just gonna wait there. Let's see here. So, I think I've gone over everything in terms of foiling. I'm not sure what else there is to go over. But we'll do a couple more examples because I really want you guys to get the idea of how this works. But you can see how it's taking a little bit less time each time, as because I'm doing an assembly line. I get the next one ready to go before I get the reward of doing peel. Because you want this to be as hot as possible and to continually stay hot. Then you don't have to, it takes less and less time for it to reheat, those kind of things. So that's what you want to be doing as much as you can, is just continuing to keep it toasty. And I heard the click, so it's gone green. There we go. Oh yeah, see, I can feel just a little bit more resistance there. So we'll see if that ends up over foiling, but because I'm using the whole image, I don't think it'll over foil. So the other person as well, if you're, if you like to watch YouTube videos, which I hope because you guys are spending time here, I hope you do like to watch videos, is Jennifer McGuire. She also does a lot with the glimmer machine. So scrapbooking.com, no, sorry, not scrapbooking.com. Scrapbookingmadesimple.com uses the Go Press and Foil by Couture Creations. She was the exclusive launch of it. And so that's what she does. That's what she demos. And but Jennifer McGuire uses the glimmer plate. So if you want to see the working of that one, and Nancy Stamps also does the same thing with that one. Okay, so I'm going to pull the big plate out now. Okay, that to the side. I'm going to do some sentiments here. And different forming up there. So, and what color should we do? Well, let's go with, pretty sure this holographic silver usually looks pretty good. So I just kind of roughly measure it there. Give it a trim. Close my roll. Okay, let's do that. And that. And I should, because this is only the simple one, sorry, that's not simple, but just I'm doing the smaller, not the full sheet of things. I should only need 2 shims for that. So I'm going to close that, let that warm up. And now I'm going to peel and reveal and we'll see what happens. So this one, because to me, this is leftover foil. This is theoretically would be garbaged if I didn't have that plate to do. So, these are always, I consider them like a bonus. Yeah, look at the difference that extra shim made. There we go. So basically all of that foil in the center is gone, which is what you want. So there's a few places in here where it's not necessarily perfect, but that's okay. Because if I trim this down in and around there, that's okay. This is a good place to put my sentiment. I can put a couple of jewels on there. Like your average. So for somebody who's making the card, I see those things, but somebody who's getting the card, they're not going to see that. They're not going to know that. And there are ways of always utilizing or moving and I don't need to throw that away. That's a really lovely foiled image. So you can see here's let's call this the positive, right? So that came out. And this is the negative of the foil. So I'm getting 2 cards from using that one. Now that's green and it's been in there for a minute or two. So I'm going to roll it. So because it takes so long to warm up the thicker full plate, I usually try to foil 5 or 6, sometimes even 8 things before I go and do the leftover foil, just so that it gives the plate a good chance to really heat up so that it's activating that foil really well. So I'm not going to make you guys wait while I, try and foil the leftovers of this. I'll just put it aside for now and do that later. All right, here's my 4. Oh, put that in there. That. Yeah. Lift shims. Give this guy a lift as well. Yeah, that was cooled off there. Lift. Okay, now I'm going to do these guys. These are some sentiment strips. And the ones that I love to do with these, because they're just really cute, and then you can get really nice colors, is this rainbow one. So I'm going to do that. That should be long enough. But I don't want to heat activate all of this because look at it, it's only about half of that. So I'm going to cut this in half roughly. this here. Shoop. That to the side. Now I'm going to stretch this out like this. So you can see here, I've got a bit of a scratch. So on my foil. So here and here, I've got a scratch on my foil. So that's not going to come out perfect, but that's okay. It's just a sentiment. Doesn't need to be like, woohoo. I'm going to put this in. This in. Oh, I added the extra shim, which I don't believe I will need. Okay, so now I'm going to let that close and I'm going to let that warm up. So it's green now. I just put those things in there. I'm not going to roll it through yet. I'm going to let it go red and then go back to green. Okay. And in the meantime, I'm going to peel these guys and see how we did here. Pretty darn good. There's a few places where the foil didn't come off quite excellent, but for the most part, so the yay, the celebrate, sending hugs, happy birthday. So I've done this where I've gotten really great foiling. So that says to me probably that either this foil is not great or it might be old. That's a possibility, right? But for me, because there's so much shine on there, sorry, excuse me, for this, that doesn't bother me. I will be able to use those and make use of that still, most of those. So the you're a great friend, the yay, the happy birthday is okay. This high, you can see here in the H, look at how much that didn't foil there. So I won't use that little high, but the happy birthday is good. You're a great friend. Congrats is pretty decent. Few areas, but you can still read it. Thank you, missing you, the celebrate. Yeah. So once I die cut them out, I'll be able to see and check and see, okay, how well did it actually do? And we're rolling, 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 rolling. So, and for hotfoiling, you can get all sorts of different kinds of designs now. They're coming out with more and more and more. The ones that I find that are challenging are ones that are supposed to go like just in a corner of a card or something like that. Those are very difficult to arrange on your hotfoil machine to get them into the right space. But actually using like a heat resistant tape and actually creating a hinge, then you can place it exactly where you want. That can work, which Jennifer McGuire does all the time. She's quite brilliant at it. I like either doing the sentiments that I can cut out or the big background dies, which give me a really lovely, creative area and a good start on my card, which I like. So, okay, pulling up my shims, pull this up. Now, because what I want to do is I don't like, there's a whole other area of cardstock here, right? So I'm not going to waste that. And these are only like 4 deep. And I have my other piece of foil here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch that out. I'm going to put it color side so the color is touching the stamp or the die, whatever you want to call it there. Okay. I'm going to peel this off. Oh, nice. Look at that. And you can see now I've got like pinks, blues, and kind of a red color in that. Okay, I can put that to the side because I can foil that overage. And I'm going to turn my cardstock around so that I can get my sentiments on this side now. And I'm going to run it through again. So I'm going to let it heat up. There's no point in wasting all of that cardstock. And because I got such a good adhesion and foiling job on those, I can keep this and foil this and then have like a solid one. Some of these would not work great. Like, so this where you mean the world, like you can see here, it's got like where the foil was torn or scratched or somehow on the back of it. And yeah, that would be hard to trim off, but I would still get, so there's two in each line. So I'd still get 6, 7 that would be more than usable, and just trim them down either using a sentiment strip die or even just your paper trimmer would work too. Okay. Now this one we don't have to let heat up quite as much because the die was already on there, or the stamp, sorry, the hotfoil stamp was already on there. So I don't need to let it heat up quite as long. back through. Now, oh, that's the other thing. So you may have started out with cardstock, for example, for your shims that is 110 pound. That is possible. That's maybe what you're starting out with. That's what these were. These were 110-pound cardstocks, like leftovers where I didn't like the stamped image or I budgeted it up or whatever. So for whatever reason, I decided to start using these as my shims. Okay. But the more that I run them through my die cutting machine, okay, and putting the pressure on them, they start to shrink, right? Like they start to compress more and more. So this is not 110 pound. So I can use this, and I've been using these for a couple of years. They're still pretty good. But this is my third set of shims because as it compresses, it doesn't give me enough pressure on my hot foiling machine anymore then, right? Like to actually get it to do what I want it to do. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull that and I'm gonna pull this one off. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this off, let it cool down. You can see it's gone solid red now. That means that it's off. And this does actually, after, I believe it's after a half an hour, if there's been no activity or anything like that on it, it will like shut off kind of thing. Okay. So these are my, I'm glad we're friends. You mean the world. Have a wonderful birthday. Congratulations. And let's see here. The fun reveal. Da, 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 da. That's gorgeous, right? So they're a little crooked, but that's fine because I can trim it here and then just bring out my hot foiling, or sorry, my paper trimmer and just, or I have dies that are long enough for this that I can actually just put it and run it through my die cutting machine and it will cut it out perfectly square, all of those kind of things. So nice. All right, so that's going to be our video today. So let me show you a couple of examples of what I've made with some cards, because I'm not going to put together cards today. So that's part of what takes so long always on my videos. So I'm not going to put together cards today. This was long enough as it was. But I will show you some examples of some cards. So for example, I've already shown you guys the bee card that I did. So this is the background with that shattered gold. Okay. This was using the leftover foil. Okay. There's another one. Okay, so this was using that oil slip foil. This one's really difficult because see all of these silver areas there? Like when you look at it, it looks like it wasn't foiled, but in the light, you definitely can see it. So I've got this great little thank you. Now this was actually just stamped. This thank you was just stamped and heat embossed. I cut it out with a, I have the matching die for it. So I was able to, and then stuck it on. So I have this beautiful background and then the thank you. There's that swirl one that I showed you in the rose gold and that pink the pink foil that I ended up throwing away, right? So I have another die on here, add a little bit of bling bling because, you know, well, can't have enough bling bling. Again, another background. Now I have used some of these backgrounds, like when I've done coloring, like some of the art impressions, like with the stamps or things like that. Let me show you one here. I don't have the coloring done on it, but I want to show you the example, for example. So look at how cute she is. So I've stamped her out, and if I were to color her, so I can, you know, trim around her and, you know, or if, yeah, and then put that on a background, like, I'll get those backgrounds here. So I would trim her out and then put her on a background like that. So that's the other thing that I like to do with these foiled backgrounds. So I can have her on, let's say, pick one of the colors in here, the red or maybe the green, because she's a Christmas one. And I can cut that out, matte her on some red or green, and then put it on here. I had these really cute older couple that I did some anniversary cards for. And I don't even usually use pink, but I had this crate pink and that's what I use. So here's the, so very similar to that happy birthday to you that I did, that was the hot foil. This is another hot foil stamp that says thank you very much that I have. And then I have this polka dot background. And that's exactly what I would do with that same, with that coloring image as well. So I just popped it up a little bit so you can see the dimension there. Nice, simple card, but it looks hallmarky, right? Which is cute. Now these, what's really cool about these is this is what, where is it here? This is what that sentiment here. That's what we just did. You're great. You're a great friend. It's that one right there. You're a great friend. So I did that in black. This is actually the reverse. So I've got this, you're a great friend here. This is the first one, the first foiling. This is the back, this is the leftover foil. So you can do both, right? And it's pretty stunning that way. These are actually foiled butterflies. So these are using a black foil, I believe it was. So these are the dies. And then there's dies to cut them out. It also comes as a set that has a stencil. So you can foil the butterflies with just having just the outline. You can stamp them with just the outline, or you can also then use the stencils, and it's a multi-layered stencil to color them in. So again, this is the one with the polka dot background in silver with black foiled butterflies. Okay, and this is a rose gold polka dot background with rose gold butterflies. Well, that's going to do it for the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you do have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. If you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments as well. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them as well as I can. Yeah, share it with your friends and family, and I look forward to seeing you guys again. Happy foiling. If you have the machine, give it a go. I do recommend starting more expensive or sorry, not more expensive, more inexpensive is by using either a laminator or the mink machine is pretty pricey, but using a laminator and some toner foils, which are not these. Remember, you have to get the ones that are the toner foils, which I've shown in the previous videos, or even using stencils with the what was that medium? Anyways, I'd have to go back through the videos. Go back and watch the other foiling videos, and then you'll know which one it was. But yeah, because you can use these hot foils with that the glue. It's the two-in-one media. Oh, it's totally gone from my mind now. But you can use these or toner foils with those ones for heat. Yeah, so that's a less of an investment to see if you actually like foiling before you go and buy the machine. Because like I said, it's not inexpensive. It's why I'm doing it as the last video for foiling, is because it's, you know, it's again, not inexpensive. This is an investment. And it's also a tool that you need to use and you need to practice with. You won't be able to have fun with it like right away. You can practice, and if you can have fun having practice, it's great. But I like to think of it a little bit like golf, because once you get those one great one, when you're golfing and you hitting it in the rough and having a crap shot all the time, and then you get that one sweet spot, you're like, oh yeah, and it gives you enough gusto to try again another 20-25 shots. That's my experience with golf. Maybe that's not your experience. You might be better with golf than I am. In fact, it's highly likely you're better at golf than I am. But this is kind of the same thing, is that, you know, once you get those couple that are just like, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful, you're hooked. But it takes time to get there. And if you're not willing to invest that time, I don't recommend this machine or the glimmer one at all. Actually, I don't recommend hot foiling for you then, if you're not willing to invest the time in it, because that's what you need, is you need to be able to spend the time to find out what works best for you and your machine. It's with your die cut machine. That's what you need to do. Okay. Again, thanks so much, guys. I really do appreciate having you here. Thanks to all the new viewers and people, subscribers. It's so exciting to get notifications about the new people. And I hope to see you guys soon. Bye-bye.